earthquakes rattle South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina. Even today, Arkansas, we had a 3.1, 2.4 South Carolina in mysterious swarms, and geologists are trying to figure out why it's happening. But nobody mentions this, the mantle plume under the Great Lakes, the Queenan Fault. You notice it's a horseshoe-shaped mantle plume. It's been there for about 1 billion years, and there's magma underneath. You can see that the eastern part goes under the New Madrid seismic zone, which is actually a rift valley. Okay, and this is the area of it right there. And the western part goes, here's the horseshoe-shaped thing at 1.1 there, and the western part goes under Arkansas, going into Kansas, swinging into Texas, and then into Nevada to the west. So this is the same mantle plume that's been there for 1 billion years. Nobody seems to refer to it. Now we know that the New Madrid seismic zone is actually a rift valley. The United States, the continental United States, actually splitting into 3. The western part, the central part, and the eastern part, sloughing off towards the southeast. Now scientists are still trying to figure out why this is happening. They've been trying to figure out what's causing the mysterious earthquake swarms north and east of Columbia, South Carolina, since December of last year. In the meantime, USGS reports there have been 6 more recent earthquakes in South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, and just today in Arkansas, basically the same area in the last week, all of which were far from the initial area of concern. Geologists like Scott Howard are working hard to explain why this is happening. He said swarms are not unusual, but they usually are shorter lived than what we are experiencing here in Elgin. The first one happened August 13 near Spruce Pine, North Carolina. A magnitude 2 event of that earthquake happened at a depth of shallow 6.7 kilometers. And even though the center of the earthquake was in western North Carolina, people in eastern Tennessee told USGS that they felt it. On August 14, there was an event in Alcoa, Tennessee, with a magnitude 2.4 earthquake, and this earthquake was 11.7 kilometers deep, about 6 miles down, happening south of Knoxville, Tennessee. On August 15, a magnitude 1.5 earthquake rattled Elgin, South Carolina, at 3.6 kilometers depth. In this area, there is still an ongoing swarm that no one can explain. South Carolina has had dozens of earthquakes since December. After a group of tremors came and went in December, these weak and moderate quakes happened. It was Monday, December 27 at 2:18 p.m. when the strange swarm began. The first earthquake, which was only 3.1 kilometers deep, had a magnitude of 3.3 magnitude, happened 30 miles north of Columbia, South Carolina. More than 3,100 people reported to the USGS that they felt it. One person felt it in Rock Hill, which is on the border between North and South Carolina. Even though many people felt the quake, no damage was reported in the Palmetto State. After the earthquake, there were 10 more that range in size from 1.5 to 2.6 on the Richter scale. The second earthquake occurred 3 hours and 20 minutes after the first one. Since then, there have been dozens of earthquakes in Elgin area, making it a swarm that is still ongoing. USGS defines a swarm as a group of mostly small earthquakes with no clear main earthquake. Swarms are usually short-lived, but they can continue for days, weeks, or even months sometimes, according to USGS explanations. The South Carolina event, on the other hand, did not fit the usual definition of a swarm because the first event was much bigger than the rest. USGS defines aftershocks as a series of smaller quakes that happen on a fault after a bigger main earthquake. Aftershocks occur near the fault zone where the main shock rupture occurred and are part of the readjustment process after the main slip on the fault, according to USGS. However, aftershocks of a 3.3 magnitude earthquake should only last a few days and not mainly many months as they have. There was also a 2 magnitude quake in Tellico Plains, Tennessee, August 15. The quake in South Carolina earlier in the day has nothing to do with this one. It was 11.1 kilometers deep. On August 16, an earthquake with a magnitude 1.8 hit Troutman, North Carolina, which is north of Charlotte, North Carolina, and far to the east where the August 13 quake hit North Carolina at only 0.1 kilometer depth. It was not very deep. And on August 18, an earthquake with a magnitude 1.9, depth of 12.8 kilometers, hit Benton, Tennessee. 10 hours later, 2.1 earthquake hit Homeland Park, South Carolina, which is halfway between Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, North Carolina. So according to Weatherboy, it's rare for this many earthquakes to strike such a large area of the southeast of the U.S. at the same time. And this is according to The Mind Unleashed by Nikolai Atanosova, and also I leave links below for you on Seismo Berkeley, and also the magnitude 3.1 we had in Arkansas today. Now going into the details of what it could be, 205 people reported feeling that. It struck in the Ozark Plateau, just about, I would say, 200 miles northeast of Little Rock, Arkansas. And Tectonic Summary says the large region borders the much more seismically active New Madrid seismic zone on the seismic zones north and west. The Illinois Basin Ozark Dome region covers parts of Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, stretches from Indianapolis to St. Louis to Memphis. Frequently moderate earthquakes occur at irregular intervals throughout the region. And let's keep in mind again the mantle plume, the Keweenan Fault mantle plume that nobody refers to. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Now, moderate frequent earthquakes occur at intervals, and largest historic earthquake in the region, magnitude 5.4, damaged southern Illinois in 1968. The faults. Earthquakes everywhere occur on faults within bedrock, usually miles deep. Most bedrock in the Illinois Basin Ozark Dome region was formed as several generations of mountains rose and were eroded down again over the last billion or so years. A well-studied plate boundary like San Andreas Fault System, California, scientists can determine the name of the specific fault. In contrast, east of Rocky Mountains, the Illinois Basin Ozark Dome region is far from the nearest plate boundaries, which are at the center of the Atlantic Ocean. Again, they do not refer to the Keweenan mantle plume over the Great Lakes. Why is that? And again, we have magma under the New Madrid seismic zone, which is a rift valley, and that is what's causing the rift. The earth is growing, and especially in rift valleys, like, for example, the Great African Rift Valley. So this is basically what's causing it, the magma underneath. So all of you there, please be very alert and careful. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.